Hi everyone, welcome back to Earl Grey Books. I'm Ellie and today is the first of my Eurovisionathon vlogs. It is not technically Eurovisionathon yet. It starts on Saturday and it is currently Thursday. But with it being Easter this weekend and working and everything like that, I just thought that I would start this vlog early so that I can start reading the books and we'll just go from there, really. I'm going to very quickly tell you about the books that I plan on starting with. I cannot talk today. Some of my TBR has changed. Are we surprised? No, we're not. But I am going to talk about those changes, like if I get to those books, if I get to those countries. And I'm also going to very briefly talk about some goals for this round of the readathon. So let's start with what I'm going to start with reading. I thought that the first one I would try would be The Last Goddess by Katarina Chukova, which is for Czechia. And I started reading this. I've only read the first 28 pages just because I wanted to make sure that it was going to grab me enough to be the one to start with, because I feel like picking the book you're going to start a readathon with is so important because it will set the tone for the rest of the readathon. So I'm hoping that this one will, I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed those pages. So I'm hoping that it will be a good read and it'll launch me into hopefully reading lots of things during this month that's coming up of Eurovisionathon. So that one. And of course, because it's me, I can't just read the one book, but I thought that I would also pick up an audiobook. I'm pretty sure this is the only audiobook I have, unless something else pops up that I've forgotten about. But it is Last Seen in Santorini by Vivian Conroy. This is the second book in this series, and I'm hoping to read this one, the third one, and the fourth one. So I thought that I should start it right at the start. I thought about not reading these in order, and then I very quickly dismissed that idea. And I thought that an audiobook, I can still do my knitting, I can listen to it on the way to and from work, and all of those things. And I thought that that was a really good idea. So those are the two I plan on starting with. In terms of goals, I don't really know what to expect because I've had, as I talked about in my TBR, kind of a really bad health flare, and I'm just kind of going through the motions a bit with it at the moment. So I don't really know if I'm going to feel better, if I'm going to feel worse. We'll just kind of see. The only real goal that I've kind of set myself is that I'd like to try, if possible, to mark off 3 countries that I've never read from before. Czechia is one of them. Last Seen in Santorini is Greece, and I have read Greece, I think, every year. But Czechia will be one of those, and then hopefully, if nothing else, I can get through some books for countries I haven't read. I'm also, as usual, not really looking at odds or who I think will make it into, who might make it into the semi-finals or the finals. I haven't even listened to any of the songs. Right now I'm just reading whatever I feel like, and then maybe when we get closer, I don't know. Sometimes when we get to the point where we kind of know which countries are gonna be, you know, counting for points, I will try and read a few of those, but I'm not really in it for the points. I'm in it for the reading things from countries I don't usually read from. So with that said, I'll be back when I have finished my first book, or I have things to tell you about, and I will see you all then. Hi, happy Tuesday. We are officially a few days into the readathon. This is the first time I've had a chance to drop in and update you. Not that I've really had a whole lot to update you on anyway, but here we are. Let me talk about what I read over the Easter weekend. I worked most of Easter, so I didn't have a whole lot of reading time, but I have been focusing on The Last Goddess, and I am 174 pages in, which is a little bit under halfway. This is a really interesting book. So far, it's kind of strange. I am still not entirely sure what a goddess in this context means. I don't know. It's kind of like a witch, like old medieval wise woman sort of vibes. Hi. The main character is also doing a thesis on the topic, so it's like partly talking about that. So it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's a kind of weird setup book, but it's really interesting. Not a whole lot has happened, but at the same time, a whole lot has happened. On the whole, having a good time reading it. Will continue to do that. Not sure how long it's gonna take me. We're just gonna see. And then last night I thought that I would start something else. So I could kind of have like two things on the go, and I'd start something shorter. And I thought this is my, I don't know. This is my pick for France because the book I had picked for France isn't French, it's Belgian, so that's now my book for Belgium. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to that. So I have The Great Camouflage by Suzanne Césaire. This one, okay, I asked Helen for her approval with this one before I started it, because Suzanne Césaire was... Give me a second, Arthie's being a shit. It's not even your dinner time yet. You can all just chill the fuck out. Arthie, put those ears away. We've got our victim here, literally, because the other two are trying to beat him up, as usual. Anyway, Suzanne Césaire is from Martinique, which is a French colony. She lived in Martinique most of her life. This was originally written in French. It's translated into English. She also lived in Paris for quite a while and studied in Paris. So I put all of that information together, and I said to Helen last night, hey, could I mark this off for France? And she said, sure. So that's what I thought I would do. He doesn't want to be here either. I know, but I'm trying to stop you from being beaten up. So this is, God, I could talk about this for like half an hour. These are from a literary magazine that Suzanne Césaire was the co-editor of, called Tropiques, in 1940s Martinique. And there's 7 of them, I think, in here of hers. And yes, you might think that I've read quite a bit of it, but all of this was introduction from the translator and the editor. So I've only read 2 pages of actual Susan Césaire. I thought this might be not a quick read, but I thought it might be a little quicker. But I was wrong. This is extremely, what's the word I'm looking for? Intellectual. And I tried to read it last night before going to bed, and that was a bad idea. So, honestly, I'm kind of shelving this one a little, just until I actually have a day off and I can read it during the day. It's definitely not a nighttime book. But that has kind of left me with like a gap of, what do I read? I have a few more days of work this week, so I thought that I would listen to my audiobook, which I haven't started because my partner has been very kindly dropping me at work, so I haven't needed to get the bus. But I have some errands and things I need to do before and after work tomorrow, so I think I will pop on the audiobook then and start listening to it. And I also have, if I have time tomorrow, one of those errands is I need to go to 2 different libraries and pick up 2 books for the readathon. So we're going to see if I have time to do that, and I may pick up one of those. I don't know, if I don't make it to the library, I might pick something else tomorrow night. I don't know. We'll just see how we go, and we'll see like where I'm at with the audiobook, and if I read any more of, probably not going to read any more of this tonight, but I might try and do a little bit of The Last Goddess. We shall see. That's the update for now, and I will be back in, again, a few days' time to let you know what I have read since. Hello, bonjour. I've been doing a lot of French on Duolingo, trying to remind myself of the like 6 years of French I did at high school. Anyway, today I'm coming to you with an update. April has ended, it is now May. But I'm going to let you know what I read up to the 30th of April. And then, depending on how long that takes me, I might be able to start my second vlog. I don't even know if you're going to see this one before the readathon is over, because things have been chaotic and I've been really sick and busy. And so I don't know when you're seeing this. I don't know when you're going to see the second part, if I finish the second part, because I didn't last year. But here we are. I have finished a book. I finished one book, which I'll take. I think my reading in May is already going better, so that's a positive sign. But in April, I finished The Last Goddess by Katerina Takova. This is one of the weirdest books I've read. in terms of like, I guess like the timeline structure of this book is so just, there is no timeline or structure really. It just kind of jumps between things that are happening, and there's often very little context as to whether the thing you're reading about happened like in the like past or is happening in the like present, like the narrative present. And it's very confusing, and I also still just not entirely sure what the point of this book was. I feel like it's one of those books that just had a plot that kind of went nowhere. It was more of like an exploration than like a moving plot where things really happened. Like, so much of this happens, it is the character Dora like reading like government reports and things like that about her aunt and some other ancestors of hers, and sort of just like the town she grew up in and the kind of things around that. And there were things that happened, but I guess the plot was her kind of finding these things out, but it didn't really follow, I don't know. I keep coming back to the word like structure. Like, it is a structured book. It's not like it's just like, you know, poetry or like a deconstructed sort of thing at all. It is just like a standardly written prose, but there was no plot structure. It was just very confusing. I will say the ending was good. I don't know that it was worth reading the entire thing for the ending, but the ending was like, okay, I can get behind that. Like, I can appreciate that being the ending. It wasn't disappointing. And it kind of made me look back on the rest of the book and be like, oh, cool. Yeah. I'm never going to read it again. I don't know that I would recommend it. I don't know. I'm keeping in mind that I have been reading this while I've been, you know, in a bad health flare, and my brain hasn't always been in the best spot, and I have a really bad sense of focus these days, and just a lot of stuff. So I don't know that this was the book for me as the kind of reader that I am today. Maybe a couple of years ago, I probably would have eaten this shit up. So, was it a win? I marked off Czechia for the first time. That's a win. But never going to read this again. It's after the readathon. Going to go into the unhaul pile. And when I finished that one, I was like, how great was it marking off a country I hadn't read before? I should do that again. So I started A Death in Malta by Paul Carunia Galizzi, and I read the first 29 pages. Honestly, blown away by those 29 pages. This was so easy to read and just so engaging and gripping right from the start. I just haven't had time to come back to it. But those first 29 pages, I was like, holy shit. This could be one of the best things that I've read this year. That's just what I'm thinking now. Don't hold me to that. Don't go out and get this, and then at the end of the next vlog, I'm like, actually, this was terrible. I'm just saying, it could be. Anyway. Really enjoying it. Hoping to come back to it maybe this weekend. And then I spent a couple of days in bed, during which time my copy of Slaying the Shadow Prince by Helen Schauer arrived. I had ordered this ahead of Babe. Australian author, bam, Australia, done. I really wanted to read this, and so I thought, well, I'll just put it in. I'll just put it in for Australia, and then I can read it, and I won't feel bad about reading it right now. I have read the first 194 pages of it. Absolutely loving it. I will say, I've only read 2 Helen Schauer books. Well, 1.5, counting this one. But I will say that A, I didn't realize they were in the same world because it's a different series. And B, I don't know if I'm having like some kind of weird deja vu that I'm just making up, but some of this feels very similar to what I think was that first book I read, but also could honestly be a totally different romantasy book that I might have read. I don't know, but there's just been a couple of things where I'm like, I've read this before. I swear I have. So I think this one is like a prequel to that other one that I've read. So that could have something to do with it. I'm not saying they're the same thing, but honestly, like, there's just been a couple of things. And honestly, it might be because they're set in the same world and so they have the same monsters and blah, 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 blah. I really enjoyed both of them. So, like, I'm not complaining, but there just have been a few moments where I'm like, am I finally losing the last of my sanity? It's possible. Anything's possible. But yeah, enjoying it. Can't get over the fact that the main character's name is Drew, as in like Drue, because all I can picture in my head is Drew from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, even though it's spelled slightly differently without E. That's all I can picture, is that she just looks like Drew. And so every time she speaks like Drew, and that is unsettling. But still enjoying it. Again, haven't really had time to finish it, so hopefully I will be able to do that. Again, maybe over the weekend. All right, so that is it for the first part of this vlog. I haven't got the amount of reading done that I had hoped, but I finished one thing, and honestly, okay, it's like she just had a moment of excitement. Any reading is good reading, right? So I'll catch you all in the next one, whenever that may be. Hopefully it gets done. We'll see. But I'll see you all next time. Bye.